What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Drew Reviews. Today, we're going to talk about probably my favorite movie from 1992. When I do that review, it's going to be interesting to see if this is actually the top movie, because I love this one, man. This is Under Siege, starring Steven Seagal, directed by Andrew Davis. Andrew Davis, of course, had done Above the Law, and this is the movie that got him The Fugitive in 1993 with Harrison Ford. This movie is really good, and a lot of people just see it as an action movie, but this movie to me is just so much more. Of course, Under Siege is one of those Die Hard on a movies. Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a train. But to me, this is one of the best. Probably this or Speed as far as the Die Hard on a movies, and I really appreciate it. As far as Steven Seagal, this is top tier for me, right there with Hard to Kill, Out for Justice. But we all know the plot of Under Siege. You've got Gary Busey and Tommy Lee Jones as the villains. Gary Busey is Commander Krill. I mean, this is actually partially his ship, but he brings these guys in. They're entertainment. The captain of the ship, it's actually going to be his birthday, so they're going to have a surprise birthday party. They've got Erica Eleniak, Miss July 1989. Ooh, mama. Coming in, going to jump out of a cake. More on that later. But, as this goes on, they've got Casey Ryback. Of course, he is, over this kitchen. He gets thrown in the freezer. And it's basically he gets out and he's trying to overthrow, this terrorist group. And basically they want the nuclear warheads off this ship. They're going to sell them for $200 million. And basically Ryback's just there to foil their plans and save the day. To me, this movie would not be the movie it is without its villains, without Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey. You basically have Steven Seagal in this movie, and he's only in it for 40 minutes of an hour and 40-minute movie. So part of it's spent at the Pentagon, but the rest is spent with the villains. And if the villains were lame, this movie could have been so bad. You've got Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey, and they are so good in these roles. The way they play off of each other, how they're bent on making sure these nukes get out. They've got this rail system in place so they can offload these onto the submarine. Some great stuff there. And I like how Tommy Lee Jones's character, he's totally into cartoons. He's got the story he tells about the shrimp and his handle on the walkie-talkie. He's the road runner because he's never been caught. Beep beep. But Commander Krill, played by Busey in this, has this great part in this movie where everybody knows that Miss July 1989 from Playboy, played by Erica Eleniak, and I got to talk about her and her massive talents in this movie. She's amazing in that one scene, and we all know the scene where she comes out of the cave. But you got Gary Busey, and he actually comes out when the band led by Tommy Lee Jones comes out and starts playing, dressed as Miss July 1989 in drag. And later that's paid off by after they shoot the captain of the ship, they go into his office and Krill gets into his safe, pulls out his personnel file, and sees that the commander says he needs a psychological evaluation. And here's Gary Busey, of course, dressed in drag, saying, "Do I look like I need a psychological evaluation?" That to me was the line of the movie. And I laughed at that the first time, the second time, the sixth time I watched this movie. I just thought that was great. But of course, Ryback, there's this whole deal where Krill puts him in the freezer for striking an officer. And that whole scene was great. He shoves Krill and he's like, you just hit an officer. He's like, oh, that's not hitting an officer. This is hitting an officer. And so they throw him in the fridge instead of the brig. And there's a whole thing there. But of course, Ryback gets out. And there's some great action that goes on during this thing. Along the way, he meets Erica Eleniak and her massive talents as she comes out of that cake. And the two of them end up going and taking out all the bad guys. There's this great bit of dialogue with Eleniak where there's this firefight going on down this hallway. And all the guys are hanging back. And she goes with Ryback. And he goes, why are you following me? And she's like, the safest place is right behind you. I thought that was great. But Steven Seagal in this movie, he is really good. I like these movies where it's not just entirely martial arts, where there is a lot of story. He does some great martial arts moves. He takes some guys out there in the kitchen. He rips a guy's throat completely out, of his neck. And I like in the beginning there with him and Eleniac where she's like, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm just a cook, a lowly, lowly cook." I thought that was really good. But yeah, I really like Steven Seagal in this movie. In the beginning, he shows a little bit of humor, a little bit of his human side, which you don't see in a lot of his movies. When his guys are dancing there in the kitchen to "I Got the Power." That kind of reminded me of The Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman there. Uh, kind of weird that they would use that there. Some of the quips he has there with Erica Eleniak. Um, really like Steven Seagal more in this movie than a lot of others, where he just seems to be this superhuman entity. I thought his hand-to-hand stuff was really good. I thought his gunplay was really good in this movie. There's that part where he makes a bomb in the microwave that goes off. I thought that was a really cool spot. As far as other things in this movie that I really liked, the score I thought was very good. Of course, a little bit of it would be recycled for Under Siege 2 Dark Territory, which I'm going to cover next. The cinematography was really good, and I really liked that this was filmed on an actual battleship. Today they would probably film a lot of those on a soundstage or, whatever, but it really helped with the authenticity of the movie. You really felt like you were on a battleship because you were. A lot of these scenes, this ship was actually docked, and if you're looking really close, you can tell that it's actually not out in the water. The ones that were kind of stock footage, but I really liked the scenes on the ship. I thought those were really cool. It was filmed down in Mobile, Alabama, I believe, and so they had to actually put up, some tarps so you couldn't see the skyscrapers. I've actually been down there on that ship. Me and my family went in like 2000 and I don't know 9 or 10, and actually visited that ship in the middle of June. No air conditioning on that thing. It was awful. I'd recommend going at a different time of year, but it was really cool to see, a World War II ship, and how it operated at the time. But that being said, I like how Seagal and the guys that he helped save there end up blowing up that sub with Gary Busey on it. And then he has that fight there with Tommy Lee Jones at the end of the movie. And of course, Steven Seagal is notorious for overkilling his villains. In this movie, he gouges Tommy Lee Jones' eye out. He stabs him in the top of the head and throws him through a computer monitor. I'm waiting for him to throw him down a flight of stairs, catch him on fire, till he's nothing but ashes. Piss on the ashes, bury the ashes until a flower grows, chop the flower down. You know, that's the kind of thing Steven Seagal does. But I really like that final fight. You actually got Tommy Lee Jones, getting a little bit in there with the cut over the eye. Um, but yeah, this was your typical Steven Seagal fight. If there was anything about this movie that I didn't like, I thought the stuff at the Pentagon was kind of boring, where they're trying to figure out, who Tommy Lee Jones' character is. I thought they spent a lot of time there, and there could have been, a little bit more action scenes, or a little bit more exposition there, or a little bit more Erica Eleniak there. I also thought the deal with Tommy Lee Jones and Steven Seagal was a little bit clunky. In the beginning, Krill tells Tommy Lee Jones, "Oh, it's Ryback," and he's like, "Who's that?" And then later on, when they finally meet in the finale, he's like, "Do you remember me? It's been a long time," And I thought that was done a little bit clunkily, that he didn't know him, and then all of a sudden he did know him. Did anybody else catch that? But other than that, man, this is pretty much a flawless action movie to me. Overall, I'm going to give Under Siege an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And as far as Steven Seagal, like I said earlier, it's top tier. I really like Under Siege 2 Dark Territory. Not quite as much as this one, but I am going to cover it next. Let me know what you think about these movies down in the comments. So guys, as always, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you want to see more Steven Seagal. I bought a lot of them this year that I plan on reviewing for 2024. So let me know if you want to see those. But as always, guys, if you like what you see here, be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you down the line.